Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's Lisa Tripsget here. In this video, I'm going to show you Mauritius. We are going to spend 7 days in Mauritius. We rented a car and we're going to stay in 5 different hotels all around the island. We are going to explore a lot of different beaches, a lot of different attractions, and in the end, I'm going to tell you which beach did I think is the best one for swimming or just generally the most beautiful one out of all the beaches in Mauritius. Currently the middle of October, so it's a high season in Mauritius. Actually, October is the second most visited month in Mauritius, although the weather is still a little bit chilly. However, a lot of people prefer it that way, but keep in mind that you won't be able to swim after, let's say, 3 p.m. because it becomes a little bit chilly, especially in the eastern side of Mauritius, because it's quite windy here. For the first 2 nights, we stayed at a hotel called Anantara. It's located very close to the airport, just 5 minutes driving. It's a beautiful 5-star hotel. Right now it's breakfast time, so I'll take you with me and I'll do a little tour of the property for you, so you see how it looks like.
So our room was actually really modern. Anantara Eco is a new hotel, so the rooms are really new. We had a wonderful view from our terrace. We had a sea view. The only downside is that there was no noise cancelling in the room. So if you have noisy neighbors, potentially you can hear everything they say. The breakfast buffet is pretty decent. There were quite a few different options and everything was tasty. The hotel also has 3 restaurants, and unfortunately the restaurants were quite disappointing, all of them. They were quite expensive and the high-end restaurant had really bland dishes, and none of us unfortunately enjoyed any of the dishes we ordered. Although the only thing we did like were the cocktails. The cocktails were definitely a highlight of our stay in Anantara. Do a separate video with a tour of the property, so just in this video I'll summarize that the property is not too big, but the design is beautiful. The only downside is the strong wind. It's always very windy in Anantara, and especially in October it's pretty cold, so we couldn't stay outside in the evenings without any kind of winter jackets. We pretty much wore the same as we were wearing in London.
We are located in the area called the Blue Bay. It's a marvelous, really majestic beach. It's very beautiful, but unfortunately due to the climate, this part of Mauritius is windy all year long. So this is southeast, and yeah, you can see now how windy it is, if you can hear me at all.
And that's why Anantara doesn't have a proper beach. There are actually sunbeds, but they are all hidden behind the bushes, and there are only a few, maybe 5 or 6 sunbeds on the beach. There was also no lifeguard on duty, and we had a black flag, and we never seen a black flag in our lives, so we actually had to Google what it is. And apparently when the black flag is on, it's not allowed to swim at all. But look how beautiful the beach is. The sand is very white, the water is so blue, it looks virgin and untouched, and there's almost no one at any time of day, as we haven't seen many people on the beach at all. Our next stop was Bois Cherie tea factory, which was located roughly 30 or 35 minutes driving away from Anantara Eco.
On the way to the River Gorges National Park, there is a tea plantation, the Bois Cherie, which is also one of the main attractions of southern Mauritius. So we decided to make a quick stop and maybe have a quick tea tasting or just buy something in the souvenir shop. Bois Cherie also has a very nice restaurant. So the restaurant, in case you're wondering, is there. Not sure if you need to make a reservation, but likely if you're coming during the day you don't. And here is the tea degustation and the shop. So let's go check it out.
I would like to have that one at the end. Looks very popular. It's a full thing.
There are also so many animals on the territory of the factory and plantation. We've seen deer, we've seen little pigs, we've seen monkeys. Honestly, it looked a little bit like a zoo, but like an open-air zoo. We drove for 15 or even 20 more minutes and reached the Black River Gorges National Park, where we were planning to hike for about 2.5 hours.
We arrived at the Black River Gorges National Park, and actually we picked the Petrine entrance, Petrine Visitor Center. There's a parking, there's a toilet, so it's pretty good for starting your visit of the park. The park is pretty empty, we haven't seen almost anyone at all, and apparently our route to the Matcha Bay trail, I think, will take around 1 hour each way, maybe even a bit less. So fingers crossed, let's go.
I recommend checking all the trails in advance because even though there is a map and there are signs, it's not clear what to visit, and I think the visitor center wasn't open at all. So I was lucky that I've read a few blog posts in advance, and we decided on the, I think, Matcha Bay trail. It was light, it was fun, it was exciting, but not too challenging, and the views on top were absolutely amazing. In total, it took us 2.5 hours, so 1 hour to go up, 1 hour to go down, and half an hour to spend there on the top taking pictures. It was time for us to go to our final destination, Le Morne. It took us around 1.5 hours to get there, and for Mauritian standards, it's a very long drive because it only takes around 5.5 hours to drive all around Mauritius. We took a long route along the southern coast of Mauritius, passing the places like Belle Ombre. Belle Ombre is a place where a lot of beautiful 5-star resorts are located, and we were surprised how beautiful and undeveloped southern Mauritius was. Once we reached Le Morne, we dropped our friends at Paradisos Beachcomber and headed to Dinarobin Beachcomber. We stayed at different hotels because there was no availability for 2 rooms at both hotels. And to be fair, these hotels are all part of the same chain, and you can visit the territory of another hotel, and there is even a shuttle that connects both hotels, so we were able to see our friends. We were also blown away by how beautiful the beach of the hotel was. The view was absolutely breathtaking. I think it was one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever visited, and I was so happy to be there. We were also lucky because our hotel, Dinarobin, had 5 heated pools. One of them was just in front of our room. It was perfect because it was a bit too cold to swim in the ocean. At that time, it was evening, so we spent almost an hour swimming in this pool before heading off to dinner, which we had booked in a gorgeous place called Chateau de Belle Ombre, which is a very fancy fine dining restaurant which offers set menus and a la carte menus. We opted in for a few a la carte dishes, and the presentation was beautiful and everything tasted well. In the morning, we went for a run. The hotel has amazing running tracks combined with Paradisos Beachcomber, and it was honestly such a joy running around the hotel. After a quick shower and a dip in the swimming pool, we also headed for breakfast.
Allah.
Overall, breakfast was good. It was huge. There was a wide variety of different dishes. Actually, Mauritian cuisine is a combination of different cuisines, of Indian, of Creole, and of Chinese cuisines. So there were quite a few dishes of these cuisines in the buffet, and honestly everything tasted well. There were quite a few fruits, and we liked the breakfast way more than the breakfast in Anantara. The only downside of this hotel I could think of would be the room. Despite the gorgeous views both from the main window and from the bathroom window, I would say the furniture was quite outdated, and unfortunately we had a broken mattress, so we didn't have the best sleep at night. Also, while Dinarobin has the pools, Paradisos has much better beaches. So if you want to swim, I actually recommend taking the shuttle to Paradisos and swimming there instead. We checked out around 1 p.m. and headed to the north of the island where we were staying that night. And we decided to stop by a beach which we found on the list of the most beautiful beaches in Mauritius, Flick and Flack. But I'd say it was a little bit disappointing because it was just a normal beach. And I'd say that Le Morne beach is 1,000 times more beautiful and better. Or maybe it was the weather because it was cloudy and we didn't see the beauty of the blue water there. Our route also passed through the capital, Port Louis, which was very busy because it was a time when everybody was finishing work. It was 4:30 p.m., almost 5 p.m., and we had actually a little bit of traffic there. In Port Louis, we stopped at a restaurant for lunch before continuing to our final destination for today, the Hotel Veranda Pointe aux Biches. Veranda is a very simple 4-star resort. We had a good room. We didn't have any issues there whatsoever. The only downside of this hotel, I'd say, is the beach. I've never seen anyone swimming there. It has quite a few rocks. So if you want to go swimming, you can walk to the very beautiful beach, Zilwa Attitude, which is located around 30 minutes walking, or you can take a taxi there, or you can drive there as well if you have a car. The territory of the hotel was a bit small, but it was pretty neat. There was a swimming pool, there was a bar and a lounge area. Breakfast was very, very simple, especially compared to the previous breakfast. Everything was good. Unfortunately, there were quite a few birds and everything was very, very sticky. It was also very busy. Now I'm filming actually at the end of a breakfast.
Now we are walking all the way from our hotel to one of the nicest beaches in the area, one of the most beautiful beaches in the area. Let's see how good it is, because so far all the beaches we've seen super high in the ranking were not too impressive, and our favorite has been Le Morne so far, way ahead everything else. But the walk is nice. Unfortunately, most of these villas and Airbnbs don't have any sort of beach access. Well, they do have access, but you cannot swim, so you would be needing to go quite far away from your apartment. For example, our hotel has a beach, but it's not the greatest, but at least there is one. A lot of people don't need a beach, they prefer swimming in a swimming pool, so in that case I think that works. It feels really, really hot today, a little bit windy. But weather forecast says that it's only 24 degrees at the moment, so 24 degrees in Mauritius actually feels hot.
We finally reached the beach called Zilwa Attitude. That's the beach I was talking about. It looks beautiful. We were so lucky with the sun and the water looked so blue. But the sand wasn't as impressive as in Blue Bay, for example. Overall, it was a good public beach. It was shared with some of the private resorts, but we enjoyed swimming there. We also went for a quick lunch with our friend who is from Mauritius, and she was in Mauritius at the same time as us. She lives abroad, but she was visiting her family, and she brought us to a very beautiful place next to Zilwa Attitude. We spent the rest of the afternoon on the beach. We actually brought with us an inflatable sofa from Amazon. It's a bit difficult to inflate it if there is no wind, so people were looking at us, at what we were doing, but in the end we managed to inflate it, and it was very comfy.
So it's almost the sunset time, so it's gonna be dark in about maybe 40 minutes from now, so we are heading back to our hotel. Actually, the beach had all the infrastructure, had toilets, free toilets, had showers. The only thing you need to bring is your towels and well, something to sit on, like our inflatable sofa. I will actually leave a link to the sofa in the description of the video down below and in the pinned comments in case you're wondering if it's from Amazon. Nice. Good morning, guys. Still have 2 days to explore the island. We are moving yet again. We were in the northwest of the island and we are moving to the north. But the check-in isn't until 2 p.m. so we still have a little bit of time to drive around. We are choosing between exploring a couple of different beaches and visiting maybe a sugar museum and a botanical garden. So let's see where we decide. I don't think we have enough time to see both, although maybe we do. Let's see.
In the end, we decided to visit Chateau La Bourdonnaise, which had a massive plantation of pretty much everything from sugar to fruits, and it's currently a museum.
So Mauritius used to be a French colony for 100 years, from 1710 I think to 1810. Then it was the British colony until basically it gained independence from the UK in 1960s. But basically for almost 150 years it used to be a British colony, and there used to be a lot of plantations, tea plantations, sugar plantations, and now we're visiting a museum, Chateau La Bourdonnaise. There are many chateaus all around Mauritius, but this one is one of the prettiest, I think. The entrance costs 400 rupees per person and includes tasting. We are not sure which kind of tasting it is, so let's find out.
The museum was lovely. There were some really beautiful rooms, and overall it was a very photogenic location, and there were rooms where you could read about the history of the chateau as well. And as for the tasting, we actually ended up having a sweet dried fruit and rum tasting, and there were so many rums. Unfortunately, Pepe couldn't drink a lot because he was driving. And I'm, to be honest, not the biggest fan of rum, so we left most of it untouched, but it was good. And we visited a shop and bought a bottle of rum for our bar at home. Our next location was Grand Bay. It took us around 20 minutes to drive to Grand Bay, and Grand Bay is one of the most popular locations in Mauritius. It's a large port, but it's also a place to go if you want to visit restaurants or nightclubs. It's also the area of Mauritius that is most developed, and a lot of expats live around the Grand Bay area. Grand Bay is also known to have some really beautiful beaches. However, I noticed that the beach was quite small, so the area without the boats, that's the stretch of the beach that was open for swimming. And unfortunately, it wasn't very sunny, so we couldn't see how blue the water was. Because of its climate, Mauritius doesn't actually always have palm trees on the beaches unless somebody plants them. So the usual trees on the beaches are conifers. But still, up until now, in my list, Le Morne would have been the first beach and my favorite beach in Mauritius. However, our friend recommended us another beach called Periber, located just around 15 minutes driving from Grand Bay. It's a lovely, very small public beach. It wasn't so busy because it was a weekday and it was during the working hours, but we really loved it. It was much better than Grand Bay, in my opinion. We drove for 20 minutes to reach the north of the island and stay at a hotel called Zilwa Attitude. It's a 4-star hotel that works on the half-board basis, includes breakfast and dinner, and unfortunately we had a really bad experience there. While the territory of the hotel is nice, they don't have a beach and the food was very mediocre. But keep in mind, it's a very affordable hotel for a half-board basis. But the problems we had were with the renovations in the rooms above us. Both we and our friends had these issues despite being in completely opposite parts of the hotel. So they had works starting at 7 a.m. So basically they couldn't be in their room since 7 a.m. They couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything. There was just a large, loud hammering and knocking happening above them. Same happened with us, but at 9 a.m. the hotel promised them partial refund and made them sign a document where they couldn't talk about it on social media, and in the end they didn't refund them anything, and it's been over a month and yeah, they didn't get any refund. In our case, they were just really rude. They didn't apologize at all. They asked us to pay for the room again despite us paying for it months in advance, and yeah, they didn't say anything when we complained about the noise. They just ignored us and proceeded to ask about the payment again. So I would rate this hotel, unfortunately, 1 out of 5. The attitude from the staff was really bad. Maybe that's why the hotel is called Zilwa Attitude. Who knows? Luckily, we only stayed there for 1 night, so we didn't need to check out early. So our next destination was probably around 45 minutes driving from there. It was located in the east part of Mauritius called Belle Mare. East of Mauritius meant winds again. We stayed at a hotel called Sea Mauritius, which was a 4.5-star all-inclusive hotel, and honestly it was such a contrast compared to the previous hotel. Everything was great here. The room was much better. We had some really convenient access to the sea straight from the room. The beach was amazing. I actually liked it a lot. I think it was my second favorite beach. Yes, it was windy, but the water was so warm. It was much warmer than anywhere else. The beach itself was absolutely stunning. The sun loungers were really comfy, and there were also a lot of bean bags, which were also great. Honestly, the spa at the hotel was also great, although jacuzzi wasn't heated, but the sauna and steam room were really nice, and it was free of charge for all the guests of the hotel. And we also had a chance to visit the gym, and they had some really good modern treadmills. In the evening, we went for a long walk on the beach to see the sunset. You can walk either side. You could walk to the right or to the left. We walked to the left from the hotel and saw some of the nice hotels we saw on the booking platform when booking this holiday, including the Salt of Palmar, which was a really nice rated hotel. And we even reached Lux Belmar, which was very sad to see because it burnt down in July and unfortunately it hasn't been restored since then. So yeah, it was very, very sad to see. In total, we walked for about 1.5 hours, but the stretch of the beach is so long that you can definitely spend almost the entire day walking if you want to. It's also worth mentioning the quality of food in this hotel. It was great. So the selection of the dishes was rather small, but everything was really delicious, and there were some unique dishes which we haven't seen anywhere else. So for the food, I would give it a really good rating. We also spent an evening playing cards with friends and had some really good cocktails. Next day at 12, we checked out, and it was time for us to go home. It took us around an hour, just over an hour, to go to the Blue Bay area where the hotel is located. We dropped our friends there because they were departing earlier. Oh, by the way, it's worth mentioning how beautiful and scenic the road to the airport is. Honestly, that stretch of the road was probably my favorite. It was really beautiful. So we dropped our friends at the airport, and we had still some time to go to the supermarket, buy some souvenirs and see some super small pineapples. And then we headed to another public beach, the Blue Bay beach, the real Blue Bay, not the one of Anantara. And since it was Sunday, it was so busy. It was jam-packed and it was lovely. There was a lot of music, a lot of kids playing games, a lot of adults gathering and eating together. A lot of people swimming. We touched the water and the temperature was also very, very high. I wish we could swim, but we didn't want to be very sticky. So we just chilled there for a couple of hours before heading to the airport. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Bye!